Audio summary of the Power of Now book. The Power of Now is a transformative guide to spiritual enlightenment and personal growth. Written by Eckhart Tolle, who is considered as one of the most influential spiritual gurus, this book teaches that true peace and fulfillment can only be found in the present moment. Most people live trapped in the mind, constantly reliving the past or worrying about the future, which creates unnecessary suffering. This book presents a path to freedom by shifting attention away from compulsive thinking and into the now. By cultivating presence, individuals can overcome negative emotions, break free from the pain body, and experience a deeper connection with life. The book explores practical ways to cultivate mindfulness and presence, emphasizing the importance of observing thoughts without identifying with them. It introduces concepts such as the ego, the pain body, and the illusion of time, all of which contribute to suffering. By practicing awareness and surrendering to the present, readers can dissolve inner conflict and achieve lasting peace. The teachings in this book are not tied to any specific religion, but offer universal wisdom that can be applied in everyday life. Chapter 1. You are not your mind. Eckhart Tolle begins The Power of Now by introducing one of the book's most important concepts, the idea that you are not your mind. He explains that most people live in a constant state of mental noise, with thoughts dominating their awareness. These thoughts, often repetitive and negative, create suffering and prevent people from experiencing the present moment fully. Tolle emphasizes that true peace and fulfillment come from disidentifying with the mind and realizing that your true essence lies beyond thought. He introduces the concept of the watcher, the awareness that observes thoughts rather than getting lost in them. This separation allows individuals to break free from the tyranny of compulsive thinking and achieve inner stillness. When you identify with your thoughts, especially negative ones, you become trapped in cycles of worry, fear, and regret. Letting go of this identification leads to a more peaceful existence. This chapter encourages a shift in perspective, allowing one to step back from mental chatter and gain clarity while reducing anxiety and stress. It provides a foundation for deeper self-awareness and inner peace. As Tolle states, the moment you realize you are not your thoughts, you become the witness to your mind. Another key quote is, "What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am." Actionable steps. 1. Observe your thoughts. Spend a few minutes each day simply noticing the thoughts that arise in your mind. Don't judge them, just observe. 2. Practice presence. Throughout the day, remind yourself to focus on the present moment by tuning into your breath, body sensations, or surroundings. Chapter 2. Consciousness, the way out of pain. One of the biggest obstacles to living in the present is the attachment to past pain. Many people carry emotional baggage, holding on to old wounds, regrets, and grievances. These painful memories often dictate present emotions and reactions, creating a cycle of suffering. But there's a way out through conscious awareness. Pain is not just something that happens to us. It is something we unconsciously keep alive by identifying with it. Much of our emotional suffering is self-created because we hold on to past experiences, replaying them in our minds and reinforcing the pain. However, pain loses its grip when we become aware of it as an observer rather than getting lost in it. The moment we bring consciousness to our pain, we begin to dissolve its power over us. Rather than resisting pain or trying to suppress it, true healing comes from acknowledging and accepting it without identification. By becoming present, we can witness pain as something separate from who we truly are. This detachment allows it to pass through us instead of becoming embedded within us. Actionable steps. 1. Recognize emotional pain as temporary. When you feel pain arising, pause and acknowledge it. Remind yourself that it is a passing experience, not your identity. 2. Practice acceptance. Instead of resisting painful emotions, allow them to be present without attaching a story to them. Observe them as an outside witness. 3. Stay rooted in the present. Engage in mindful activities such as deep breathing, meditation, or simply focusing on your surroundings to prevent being consumed by past pain. Chapter 3. Moving deeply into the now. The mind is constantly drawn to either the past or the future, making it difficult to fully experience the richness of the present moment. This chapter explores how true peace and happiness can only be found in the now. Many people live in a state of waiting for the next success, relationship, or milestone to bring fulfillment, without realizing that they are missing out on life as it unfolds. By becoming fully present, we begin to see that life's beauty is not in some distant future, but in the simple moments we often take for granted. Whether it's feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, listening to the sound of rain, or truly connecting with someone in conversation, each moment holds the potential for joy if we are truly there to experience it. A key realization in this chapter is that the present moment is all that ever exists. When we constantly dwell on the past or anticipate the future, we're caught in an illusion, missing the only reality there is, now. The challenge is to shift from thinking about life to actually living it, which requires breaking free from mental distractions and being fully engaged in what is happening right now. Actionable steps. 1. Bring awareness to routine activities, whether you're washing dishes, walking, or eating. Focus completely on the experience rather than letting your mind wander. 2. Break free from waiting mode. Notice when you're mentally projecting happiness into the future and remind yourself that life is happening now. 3. Use your senses to anchor yourself. Pay attention to sounds, smells, and textures around you to stay connected to the present moment. Chapter 4. Mind strategies for avoiding the now. The mind constantly seeks to escape the present moment, using distractions, worries, and plans to pull attention away from the now. This chapter explains how the ego thrives on resistance and time-based thinking, keeping people stuck in cycles of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. Many believe that happiness and fulfillment exist somewhere in the future, but this mindset prevents them from experiencing life fully. One common strategy the mind uses is identifying with problems. Instead of simply dealing with issues as they arise, people tend to dwell on them, creating mental stories that reinforce a sense of struggle. Another way the mind avoids the now is by clinging to emotional pain, replaying past grievances, and seeking validation for suffering. These patterns keep people trapped in negativity and make it difficult to embrace the present. Breaking free from these mind strategies requires awareness. The more we recognize these patterns, the easier it becomes to let go and return to the present moment. By shifting attention away from thoughts and into direct experience, life takes on a new sense of ease and clarity. Actionable steps. 1. Recognize when your mind is avoiding the present. Notice when you get lost in worries, regrets, or plans, and gently bring your focus back to the moment. 2. Let go of problem identification. Instead of overthinking challenges, focus on taking practical action or accepting what cannot be changed. 3. Use stillness as a tool. Take moments throughout the day to pause, breathe, and simply be, without analyzing or labeling your experience. Chapter 5. The state of presence. Presence is not something that needs to be achieved. It is always available. This chapter explores the experience of pure awareness, free from thought and mental labels. Many people believe they must work hard to reach a state of enlightenment or deep peace, but true presence is accessible in every moment. The key is to step out of the constant identification with the mind and rest in awareness itself. The state of presence brings a deep sense of stillness and clarity. It allows you to engage with life without the constant interference of thought, leading to greater peace and emotional balance. When present, you respond to situations with clarity rather than reacting out of fear or conditioning. Instead of getting lost in worries about the future or regrets about the past, you experience life as it truly is. Actionable steps. 1. Create small moments of stillness. Pause throughout the day and simply be aware of your breath, surroundings, and inner state. 2. Notice the gaps between thoughts. Instead of engaging with every thought, observe the space between them and rest in that stillness. 3. Use presence in conversations. Truly listen to others without mentally preparing a response or being distracted by thoughts. Chapter 6. The Inner Body. In this chapter, attention shifts from the constant chatter of the mind to the rich, vibrant sensations of the body. Instead of being lost in endless thoughts, you are invited to notice the subtle energy and sensations that pulse within you. By consciously directing your focus to the inner body, its rhythms, warmth, and even slight tensions, you begin to experience a more direct and tangible form of presence. This awareness of your physical self serves as an anchor, helping you break free from mental distractions and reconnect with the here and now. As you learn to listen to your body, you start to uncover a deeper layer of awareness that is often overshadowed by everyday worries. The body, with its natural wisdom, can remind you of the simplicity and authenticity of being alive. This practice of tuning in to the inner body not only promotes a sense of groundedness, but also helps in reducing stress and anxiety, making you more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Ultimately, by embracing your inner body, you cultivate a more integrated experience of life. You learn that true presence is not just a mental state, but a full-bodied experience that nourishes both your physical and emotional well-being. Actionable steps. 1. Regular body check-ins. Pause several times a day to consciously feel your body, noticing any sensations or shifts in energy. 2. Focus on your breath. While observing your body, pay close attention to your breathing, letting it anchor you in the present moment. 3. Engage in mindful movement. Practice activities like yoga, stretching, or walking, where you can experience your body's natural flow. Chapter 7. Portals into the unmanifested. This chapter guides you beyond the everyday sensory world into a deeper realm of pure awareness, the unmanifested. Here, you're introduced to a dimension that exists beyond form and thought, a vast and quiet space where pure being resides. By stepping away from constant mental activity, you open yourself to moments of profound stillness, where the true essence of life can be experienced. The text explains that moments of silence, whether found in nature, in the quiet spaces between your thoughts, or during meditation, serve as gateways to this deeper presence. When you allow yourself to simply be without the need to label or analyze, you begin to tap into an underlying field of peace and clarity. This connection offers a refreshing break from the overload of daily life, enabling you to see the world with renewed wonder and openness. In embracing these portals into the unmanifested, you learn that the richness of existence lies not in constant doing, but in the art of being. This perspective helps you appreciate life as a series of connected, silent moments that nurture your inner peace. Actionable steps. 1. Seek quiet moments. Dedicate time each day to sit quietly, free from distractions, and simply be. 2. Embrace natural environments. Spend time in settings like parks or near water, where the natural stillness can help you connect with your inner calm. 3. Notice the pauses. Be attentive to the small gaps between your thoughts and allow these silent moments to deepen your sense of presence. Chapter 8. Enlightened Relationships. This chapter invites you to transform your personal relationships by infusing them with awareness and genuine presence. It challenges the idea of seeking fulfillment solely through others, suggesting instead that every relationship is a mirror reflecting your inner state. When you interact with others from a place of calm and authenticity, you begin to see how much of conflict arises from unresolved inner patterns rather than the actions of those around you. By being fully present in your interactions, you become more sensitive to your own emotional triggers and less likely to project past hurts onto others. This clarity fosters a more compassionate and balanced way of relating, where both parties can grow and learn from each other. Instead of clinging to expectations or trying to change someone else, you allow relationships to evolve naturally, leading to more meaningful and enriching connections. Ultimately, enlightened relationships are about mutual growth and self-discovery. They encourage you to become aware of your own patterns and to meet others with openness and understanding, creating a space for true connection and shared inner peace. Actionable steps. 1. Practice active listening. Engage fully in conversations by focusing solely on the other person without planning your response. 2. Reflect on your reactions. Notice emotional triggers during interactions and gently question their origins. 3. Foster non-attachment. Allow relationships to be a source of mutual growth without clinging to specific outcomes or expectations. Chapter 9. Beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. This chapter invites you to discover a form of inner peace that exists independently of the temporary highs and lows of external events. Rather than relying on momentary happiness or being overwhelmed by periods of unhappiness, you are encouraged to tap into a deeper, steadier state of calm that underlies all experiences. This inner peace is not about suppressing emotions, but about realizing that your true nature is far more stable than the fluctuations of everyday life. The text explains that by detaching your sense of well-being from the external world, you create an inner sanctuary that remains undisturbed by life's inevitable changes. This shift in perspective allows you to see emotions as passing waves rather than defining features of your existence. Embracing this broader view helps you cultivate resilience, enabling you to face challenges with a calm mind and a balanced heart. In this way, you learn to appreciate life in its entirety, both the joys and the difficulties, without getting caught up in the need to label experiences as strictly good or bad. The result is a more integrated and peaceful way of living, where your inner state remains a constant source of strength and clarity. Actionable steps. 1. Detach from temporary labels. Observe your emotions without immediately categorizing them as positive or negative. 2. Cultivate daily inner calm. Integrate practices like meditation or reflective journaling into your routine to nurture a steady inner peace. 3. Accept life's full spectrum. Embrace both the pleasant and challenging aspects of life as essential parts of your overall journey. Chapter 10. The meaning of surrender. In the final chapter, the idea of surrender is redefined as a liberating act of acceptance rather than a sign of weakness. Surrender here means fully embracing the present moment, including its imperfections, without resisting what is. It's about letting go of the urge to control every detail and instead trusting that each moment unfolds as it should. This acceptance brings a deep sense of relief and freedom, allowing you to experience life without the constant burden of mental resistance. The chapter discusses how much of our inner turmoil comes from the struggle against reality, the persistent desire to shape life according to our expectations. By surrendering to the present, you free yourself from this conflict and open up to the natural flow of events. This act of letting go doesn't mean giving up on life. It means accepting life fully and finding strength in its natural unfolding. Such surrender leads to a more harmonious relationship with yourself and the world, as it dissolves the tension between how things are and how you wish them to be. Ultimately, embracing surrender is about trusting in the process of life. It teaches you to find empowerment in acceptance, turning challenges into opportunities for growth and inner transformation. By learning to surrender, you tap into a profound source of inner resilience and clarity that guides you through even the most difficult times. Actionable steps. 1. Practice radical acceptance. When faced with challenges, choose to accept the situation fully instead of fighting against it. 2. Let go of control. Remind yourself that not every detail is within your power to change, and that letting go can be a source of strength. 3. Trust in the unfolding of life. Reflect on past experiences where surrender led to positive outcomes, reinforcing your faith in the natural flow of life. Bonus chapters. Chapter 11. The nature of the mind. This chapter delves into the nature of the mind and its tendency to dominate our perception of reality. The mind is a powerful tool, but when it becomes overactive and compulsive, it creates a false sense of self, leading to suffering and discontent. The mind thrives on past memories and future projections, distracting us from the richness of the present moment. It constantly seeks validation, control, and fulfillment outside of the now, trapping us in cycles of worry, fear, and longing. By observing the mind without judgment, you begin to understand its patterns and how it influences your emotions and actions. This awareness allows you to separate from the mind's chatter, revealing a deeper presence that is free from compulsive thinking. The chapter emphasizes that you are not your mind. You are the awareness observing it. This realization brings immense liberation and inner peace as you no longer identify with every thought that arises. When you understand the nature of the mind, you gain the power to break free from its limitations. You learn to use the mind as a practical tool rather than letting it control your life. This shift leads to a more balanced and harmonious existence, where you are fully present and engaged with life as it unfolds. Actionable steps. 1. Observe your thoughts. Practice watching your thoughts without reacting to them, realizing they're just mental events and not your identity. 2. Disidentify from the mind. Remind yourself regularly that you are not your mind, but the awareness observing it. 3. Stay grounded in the present. Use mindfulness practices like deep breathing or focusing on your senses to anchor yourself in the now. Chapter 12. Freedom from unhappiness. Unhappiness is a state of inner resistance to what is, usually triggered by an attachment to how things should be. This chapter explains that most unhappiness is self-created because we resist the present moment. When we argue with reality, wishing things were different, we generate tension and suffering. True freedom comes from accepting each moment as it is, without labeling it as good or bad. Acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation. It means responding to life's challenges without the burden of negative emotions. When you accept the present, you act from a place of clarity and peace rather than frustration or fear. This shift in perspective allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with resilience and grace, maintaining inner harmony regardless of external circumstances. The chapter teaches that happiness is not about achieving certain outcomes, but about embracing each moment fully, without resistance. This freedom from unhappiness is not dependent on changing external situations, but on changing your relationship with the present moment. When you stop resisting, you find peace in the now, regardless of what is happening around you. Actionable steps. 1. Practice radical acceptance. In challenging situations, consciously choose to accept the moment without resistance or judgment. 2. Drop the mental story. Let go of the narrative your mind creates about why you should be unhappy and focus on the present experience. 3. Act without attachment to results. Take action where necessary, but detach from a need for specific outcomes. Chapter 13. The Power of Surrender. Surrender is the art of letting go of resistance and allowing life to unfold without trying to control every outcome. This chapter explores the liberating power of surrender, which brings deep peace and freedom from inner turmoil. Surrender does not mean giving up or becoming passive. It means accepting what is and working with it rather than against it. By surrendering to the present moment, you stop fighting reality and allow solutions to arise naturally. This state of acceptance reduces stress, anxiety, and frustration, enabling you to respond to life's challenges with clarity and wisdom. Surrendering allows you to align with the flow of life, leading to greater harmony and ease. This chapter also emphasizes that surrender is not about inaction, but about inspired action that comes from a place of inner peace and acceptance. When you let go of resistance, you tap into a deeper intelligence that guides your actions effortlessly. This approach not only enhances personal well-being, but also transforms your relationships and interactions with the world. Actionable steps. 1. Accept the present moment completely. No matter how challenging, practice accepting each moment as it is. 2. Let go of control. Release the need to control outcomes and trust the process of life. 3. Respond. Don't react. Respond to situations from a place of peace rather than reacting out of fear or resistance. Chapter 14. The End of Suffering. The book concludes with a powerful message about ending suffering through presence and awareness. Suffering arises from attachment to the ego and identification with the mind. When you believe that your thoughts, emotions, and life circumstances define who you are, you create a false sense of self that is vulnerable to pain and disappointment. True liberation comes from realizing that your essence is beyond thought, beyond form, and beyond the ego. This awareness dissolves suffering by breaking the identification with the mind and embracing the fullness of the present moment. When you live in alignment with the now, you experience a profound sense of peace and joy that is not dependent on external conditions. The end of suffering is about transcending the ego and awakening to your true nature. It is about living from a state of presence, where you're fully engaged with life, yet free from the limitations of the mind. This awakening not only brings personal fulfillment, but also contributes to the collective awakening of humanity. Actionable steps. 1. Recognize ego patterns. Notice when the ego tries to define your identity through thoughts, emotions, or external circumstances. 2. Live from presence. Practice being fully present in each moment, letting go of past and future concerns. 3. Embrace your true nature. Regularly reflect on the awareness that observes your thoughts, realizing that this presence is your true self. To get the full benefits of this book, please read the entire book. Thank you.